And so that idea that I think it's healthy psychologically. It's a it's a real game changer in terms of one's own spiritual life. But here, this lady Eve found it to be essential in understanding how I can forgive others. That underneath it, underneath their mind, which may be very warped, there's a pure soul, and that pure soul is speaking and acting through that warped mind that's been warped by its experience in life. And really, all that's coming through, because in one sense, everything that we do, whether it's easy to recognize or not, is essentially a call for love, right? It's like we're all acting out of the need to love or be loved, and that feeling, that need, even that pure and vulnerable need, when it's filtered through a warped mind, can manifest in very warped ways.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily spiritual podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York City, Kaustubha. Welcome to the show. It's March 10th, 2025. This is episode 1550. It's Monday, everybody. Makeover Monday. You know what? Had all these plans. I'm wearing my t-shirt today, my Wisdom of the Sages t-shirt. Instead, I wore a San Diego Padres Youth of Today t-shirt that Mukunda Kishore gave me. Anyway, how's Rishikesh going, Prabhu?
It's really nice. It's such a long it's a long haul, right? It's like a whole month, and
it's a month-long festival.
It's a festival that does not stop for a month.
Yeah, and if you go to the festival, like I'm going to check in with the festival, go back. I don't get how an introvert like you can deal with an all-day festival 24/7.
I'm not exactly an introvert. Do you know what an introvert is?
A person who sort of who can go out to the public but has to regroup because the group sucks energy out of you.
Okay,
so
well, I am a bit like that. Yeah,
you have to go back inside to refuel. Whereas if I get in front of a lot of people, I get more energized.
I do under certain circumstances, but it's a fact. I think like they say, an introvert is someone who, yeah, as you're saying, gets drained up, in the public arena. And an extrovert gets like energy in it. I do get energy in it. I do.
Okay.
But like if if it's controlled, but when it doesn't stop, like when every time I turn around, there's more people to talk to, more people. I can get drained, so I'm having to. Fortunately, I got a room right nearby, so I can just slip in here and kind of regroup. Another thing that's going on is, because it's a month long, people come and they go. So there's always like someone going, like someone important or someone special, but there's always someone special arriving too, So
Right.
like Tara arrived today, Keish arrived today, Dharma popped in with her group, like people are just popping in and out. Every time you turn around, it's like, oh, So anyway, it's been wonderful.
And you're doing good, which means you're going to have to be back there next year. Now you're committed.
I feel committed to it. I feel it's what I'm meant to be doing. I feel it's what I'm meant to be doing here. I got the other day, yesterday, today was like a day off. Monday, I don't do my class in the morning, but the day before, I think it was like 80 people there, in the morning for the morning class. It's
getting
really,
bigger.
Because now the International Yoga Festival on the other side of the Ganga is just kicked in.
Right.
So it brings lots of people in, and all of those people want to check out what we're doing here.
So good.
So yeah, a lot going on.
So good. Hey, so before the show, we were talking about. You said you saw Ravi Shankar.
You were talking about Ravi Shankar, and then you asked me, what did you ask me?
I said, did you ever see his daughter? And you're like, oh yeah, I saw his daughter and Ravi play live.
I saw them both play together. For those that don't know, because we play a Ravi Shankar song as we're greeting everyone before we start the show, right?
Before we start the show, we say good morning to everybody, and we play a Ravi Shankar and George Harrison song.
Yeah.
So those who are listening live.
Yeah, they
So
get
go
to
on.
hear that. So my wife, she was a teacher, and one day, it was during the baseball season. It was like during the playoff season that that some parent there had tickets to see Ravi Shankar and his daughter at Carnegie Hall, but like the Boston Red Sox were in the playoffs or something like that, so so he didn't go. So they probably knew she was like into Indians something or other.
Mm.
So they gave Geeta Priya, my wife, a pair of tickets for Ravi Shankar and his wife, Anushka.
I don't know.
Not his wife, his daughter.
His daughter.
And so we went, and we didn't really know what the seats were like or anything like that. We just kind of showed up.
Yeah.
It was like we're looking at the tickets, we couldn't quite figure it out. And then we showed them the tickets, and they said, "Oh, this way, this way." And then they had someone showing us, and they were just taking us right, and they led us up to the Raghunath.
You were on the stage? Were you on the side of the stage for Ravi Shankar?
We were in literally, like if they brought the president of the United States to see the concert, we were in his seats.
That's
It was
pretty
like we were in those like Abraham Lincoln seats, like where you're on the first balcony, but like practically on top of the stage.
That's very good. That's very
It was
good.
really cool. And it was like
Super cool.
right at the front too. Like we're like right on the edge. It just
Coming
couldn't have
from a
been better.
world where I always got the worst tickets.
I know the
You know what I
nosebleed.
mean? Like my father got me
Yeah.
tickets to see the Mets, and I was like, way so far away. I was like, I should have
Are
just
they
watched this
down
on
there somewhere?
TV.
I know. Exactly. That's what I'm used to, and it couldn't have been better. And it was very, very powerful experience to be able to witness them playing from that, especially from that. Carnegie Hall. Have you ever been to Carnegie Hall?
No. Well, yes, I think I did go to see something there. I can't remember what.
What did you see there?
I
What
think I
did you
did see something. I can't. Do they
Are you
play
afraid to
Mo-
admit
Mo-
what you saw there?
No, I would tell you. I can't
All right,
remember
you
though.
don't
I
remember?
was, yeah.
Well, it's an incredibly beautiful hall.
Yeah.
There's that, and the acoustics obviously are incredibly good. But I don't know, somehow we could just dropped right in on that one. And he's obviously was an amazing musician.
Oh,
you
that's
asked-
pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah.
I got good tickets like that once for something mundane.
Okay.
It was Girls Rule the Yule at Madison Square Garden. The guy from No Doubt, Tony Canal from No Doubt, gave me tickets. I was like, oh, I wonder where this is going to be. Front row center for Sheryl Crow, No Doubt. What's that other girl I liked?
Lineup.
Jewel, and a bunch of other girls.
Bow wow wow.
That would have been good. Although I did meet the singer Bow Wow,
I know,
Annabelle.
I know.
You know that story? Okay. No, I met her.
Love her. He said, "I love you."
No, I actually met her in person too.
Not on that day.
Not
or
on that
on that
day. Years later,
Oh, no kidding.
with my band Better Than 1,000 and Bow Wow Wow.
Wow. All right, let's keep this moving, Raghunath.
Nora Jones is. Did I not know that?
Daughter, sister of Anushka and daughter of
What?
Ravi. Yeah.
Oh, I'm so disconnected from the world.
Yeah.
And not in a cool way. I'm not bragging.
Okay.
Just in like. Okay.
All right,
let's get into
moving.
serious life here.
Let's check in with Mara.
All right.
Mara,
Hello,
what's
Mara.
going on?
How you doing, Mara?
Just
I'm okay. I'm been a little sick for the last few days. I got a
Oh,
cold
man.
or something.
I hope you're getting plenty of magnesium.
Kaustubha's always got some like part-time apotec type of.
Well, His Holiness Satchidananda Swami Maharaj also recommended magnesium to me.
All right.
See?
So
You see,
So I'm
Raghunath?
taking magnesium.
okay, he's a
Yeah,
guru.
so-
Then he
Yeah.
must have medical advice. He must have.
No, I got it. It
He's
was
a
because
Michigan
Geeta Priya
guru
was
in ISKCON.
concerned.
Huh?
It was because Geeta Priya was concerned, and she does her research, and she also takes this magnesium regularly, She
Yeah.
thought
For
maybe
what?
you just have to watch the video that I sent,
Okay.
Show you the video.
All right. Go ahead.
Well,
What?
Any more?
Yeah, I have other announcements too. Yeah, we have prayers going out for our regular Zoomers. Connor and Amanda had their baby a couple days ago.
Oh, get
Ooh,
out.
yeah. They just got married, and they had a baby. That happens, though. You get married, then the baby comes quick. Yeah.
You put that together, huh, Raghunath?
You put.
You're so observant.
Sometimes the baby comes first.
It does.
Anyway, congratulations to them.
Is there a name?
Blessings,
Baby?
I'm not sure if I'm saying it right. Americ Arjuna.
America.
Okay.
Yeah.
E-M-E, like America, but with an E.
Yeah.
America.
Emeric.
America.
Okay.
Emeric.
So like Arjuna is like the middle name.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a
Okay.
nice way to do it. If you don't want to
Slip it
go
in there.
full out, like your name is,
I think
Pandava.
Vegan Truckers, his littlest one, his middle name is Arjuna too, I think.
That's right.
Right?
All righty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Also, today is
Although-
Wear Your Merch Monday. So help us
Okay.
promote the show by wearing your Wisdom of the Sages merch. Take a picture, share it on Facebook and Instagram, and we'll share the post. And also, we've got brand new hats and beanies with our Wisdom of the
Oh
Sages.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm so psyched for these
Yeah.
hats.
Go to wisdomofthesages.
So
Click on merch.
those are like trucker hats and then like
Like
ski
knit.
hats.
They're called dad.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, then. And we have trucker hats and dad hats. That's a style, a dad hat, Kaustubha. I could see you more in the
Dad.
dad hat.
I don't even know what a dad hat is.
Me
Yeah,
neither.
that's you.
What is it?
They're a little softer.
You're such a loser. When are you gonna just let go?
No, it's just a different style that I think they would fit you more. It's got nothing to do with
Then why are you giggling like a little girl? See?
And we got beanies because it's still
Okay,
cold
great.
out here. Yeah, I'm excited to see them. I haven't seen them yet. All right, let's get on with the show, guys.
Yeah, let's do that, brother.
No more medical advice. Okay, we have a nugget here,
Oh,
Kaustubha.
yeah.
A nugget from your friend and mine, Marcus Aurelius.
Who we go to on occasion, right? Maybe a couple times a year or something like that.
Yeah, he's big now. He's bigger than ever.
Well, there's that guy, the Daily Stoic, right?
Yeah,
He's very popular.
Marcus
See.
Aurelius is a big stoic himself.
Yeah.
You have power over your mind, not outside events.
Uh-huh.
You don't have power of outside events. You don't have power if it's going to rain or not. Right? Realize this, and you will find strength. Right? That's a big.
I have a
Stephen
question. Let me throw a question at you. Well, maybe we do have some influence over outside events. You know?
What's an example?
Let's say, I don't have enough money to pay my rent. Well, I go out and I work harder, something like that, and make more money.
Sure. I think to reword it is to better word that. To correct Marcus Aurelius.
the Emperor of Rome.
Hear from me. I'm a part-time botanist and I have a podcast. Focus on the things you can control, not on the things you can't control.
Okay.
Boom. Here you go.
Okay, there's that. Sure.
Focus
Okay.
on the things you can control, not on the things you can't control.
Fair enough.
It's pretty simple.
And
Otherwise,
but-
you
and-
struggle like anything. Struggling, worried about the things you can't control.
right. And the most important thing that we can learn to control is the mind. And he seemed to have a good understanding of that. This is medicine. Just this idea of, hey, you know what? Stop and we talk about this a lot, but we've been reading in Bhagavatam. I realized, Raghunath, we heard one story, two stories, three stories about people who were mistreated or misunderstood in some way, and how they had this internal ability to just handle it rather than whine, complain, get frustrated, get upset, make it worse,
Bury resentment.
And now we have Ambarish, who's kind of like going to become the prime example. Like he's going to be someone who he was just doing good on every level, and then he got accused of doing something so wrong, which was so wrong for him to be accused. He didn't have any external response. He entirely had an entirely controlled mind. I've been, I'm doing this questions and answers booth every day.
Yeah.
And so many of the questions, kind of everybody here you know, we're in Rishikesh and we're at these big yoga, kirtan, yoga festivals. You know, everybody here has an interest in meditation.
Mm.
And 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 then so many practical questions get thrown at me during the Q&A, and I can answer them within the context of meditation. I think someone that practices meditation and recognizes the value of it is a little bit better prepared to understand the value of learning humility, learning tolerance, learning to let go of resentments rather than think that the goal of life is to get upset, call out everybody in the world, post about it on your social media thing, and you know, even pose as like some kind of great warrior. You know, people, you know, here we can always put something in the context of the more that you let these little, the more that you can see these things as insignificant and let them go, your character grows. You become strong. He says you will find strength. You know, you become strong. You become solid. It's like things can't affect you. You're not vulnerable. You're strong. So there's that, you know. And then there's also the added benefit for the yogis that you maintain the mental bandwidth. You free your mind of all the trouble that's in it, just by letting this insignificant thing pass by. So it becomes real significant. Ambarish is like, you know, a stellar example of it. But it's something worth practicing. You know, I've been getting questions. I've had, there's one really nice lady that's been coming regularly. She's a French lady. Her name is Eve. And I could see really sincere woman, you know, really sincere practitioner, good questions,
Mm.
fiery kind of person, you know. And I think, you know, probably been through a lot in life, you know, probably,
Yeah.
you know, even she, not even probably, I know. Um, and you know, she had an issue with forgiveness because whenever we were talking about these things and discussing these things, kind of forgiving people or having an even mind no matter what's happening externally, even ways that you've been treated and stuff, there was something in her that was just that was, I think she kind of knew that this was right, but there was a conditioning within her to say fight, you know, a little bit like that, fight back, you know. And we kept talking about it and we kept talking about it, and especially around forgiveness, you know, I could see she wants to forgive, she wants to let go, but it wasn't easy. And sometimes you feel like, am I becoming weaker by doing this? You know, am I getting run over by doing this? And so I was answering her question
It
about
drains you.
forgiveness. Yeah, yeah. I was answering her questions about forgiveness like one way, and it was kind of satisfying, and then again in another way, and it was a little bit more satisfying, but I hadn't hit the nail on the head for her. And then I finally got to a place, and she said, "That's it. Okay, now I understand." And what I said,
what was it?
yeah, what I said was, even if someone has acted in ways that are downright evil, right? Even really destructive people, really crooked, rotten people, you know. I said that the way that the yogi understands them with knowledge is they understand that that person that's behaving this way, that underneath their body and underneath their mind, there's a spark of spirit, and that's them. And they're just as pure as every other living being in the world. They're entirely pure. You know, this is where the you shared with me that phrase, what was it?
Pure soul theology.
Thank you. Thank you. That's right. Pure soul theology, where we might have been brought up in a tradition that was feeding us this idea that no, you are sinful from your origin.
You're born sinful.
You're born into
There's
sin.
nothing, no works that you can do to purify
Nothing.
yourself except
Yeah.
for accepting Jesus into your heart.
And so
He
the Vedic
he
conception,
accepts your sins.
he'll accept them for you. Just accept him. Otherwise, you are just rotten, bad,
But I'm pretty
dirty.
good. Nope. You are
And you
not.
know, I'll tell you, you know, you know, I think I'm not saying that the way that the Vedic culture and its tradition, I'm not saying that it's been perfectly applied always and that it's never been misapplied, but I will say this: growing up Catholic and in the West, it does seem to me that it the way that Catholicism and Christianity and maybe other Abrahamic Judaism, no doubt, has been presented to people with this idea, that you are dark and you are, you're not good, right? Practically ontologically. I can see how it's caused so much tension in people. I can see how it's played out in people's psychology. And I do think I don't see that in the Vedic tradition in the same way. At least not in the same way. And the idea that I am pure by nature is, I think, a very healthy thing. Analogies are used like a crystal, like, crystal is perfectly transparent. If you hold a rose next to it, then the crystal appears red. But as soon as you remove the rose, then it goes right back to its original state. And really that it's in its original state all along, right? It's always transparent. It just appears to be red when a rose is near it. And so that idea that I think it's healthy psychologically. It's a real game changer in terms of one's own spiritual life. But here, this lady Eve found it to be essential in understanding how I can forgive others. That underneath their mind, which may be very warped, there's a pure soul, and that pure soul is speaking and acting through that warped mind that's been warped by its experience in life. And really, all that's coming through, because in one sense, everything that we do, whether it's easy to recognize or not, is essentially a call for love, right? It's like we're all acting out of the need to love or be loved, and that feeling, that need, even that pure and vulnerable need, when it's filtered through a warped mind, can manifest in very warped ways.
Sure.
And so hearing that, and therefore we can forgive, right? We can forgive because we know underneath, we can see that. And actually, then you begin to feel compassion, even for the so-called enemy. We were talking like this other night, and someone shared, I was saying, if we're going to go deep into spiritual life, we have to start to think like this, and we have to get a little bit radical. We got to see things a little bit radical. And someone shared, I think they said it was Ram Dass, that put pictures of like the most warped people, or the people that hated him the most, like that. He would put their pictures on his altar. I'm not recommending someone do that, but I think he's thinking that way, right? It's like, I should have no animosity even towards this person, because underneath it, there's a soul that's just as pure as every other soul out there. And that gives one. So when Marcus Aurelius says this, you have power over your mind. Outside events, how other people behave, we don't necessarily have any control over that. But we all have power over the mind. And if you practice that, you're going to find strength. You're going to find you become very strong.
A desire to love is at the core. I like that. Desire to love and be loved is at the core.
Yeah, all of us. Right? All of us.
Do you need to be loved?
I do. I do.
I love you.
I love you too.
I will love you, Prabhu. I will love you.
Just a little bit from a distance. That's all I ask. All right.
Alrighty.
So shall we get to yeah, let's get to it.
Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayat. Before we start in the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, and to Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshu badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttamasloki bhaktir bhavati naistiki. By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam, and by rendering service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, whose praise with transcendental songs will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnanatamurandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My teachers are opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet. Reading from the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 4, Text 28.
I'm going to suggest we just do a little bit of a recap here. Go back a few verses, Raghu.
Sure.
So we're hearing about Maharaja Ambarish, who's going to become a really important figure. He's someone that, if we're giving a summary of the Bhagavatam, which is so huge, 18,000 verses, it's really not going to be complete without mentioning him, right? He's going to be featured in this canto as one of the most important narrations, is the narration of his glories. And it starts off by just it's giving a rundown of who he is and how he behaved and so on, and we see how special he is. And by the time we get to text 24, it's talking about the influence that he had even over all the people in his kingdom. And it's at this point it's framing it out as the purity that they were cultivating, right? We were saying pure soul theology. How does that play out in terms of our spiritual practice and so on? What does it look like, right? What does the purity of the self really look like? And we're going to, the Bhakti Shastras, the texts on Bhakti are going to say, it plays out that it's love, selfless love, right? Love without the desires that are without cultivating the desires that are also spoken about in the earlier Vedic literatures, like desires for things of this world, desires, to ascend to the higher planets where you can enjoy the things of this world on a higher level, or even the desire for liberation, right? Even the desire to become free of the sufferings of this world, which is many spiritualists we would say mistake as life's highest goal, right? We would say much higher than that is the goal of divine love. So he's got this, and Bhagavatam is constantly like saying, let's focus, boom, selfless love. That's what it's all about. So we're hearing about that here. It says in text 24 that the citizens of the state of Maharaja Ambarish were accustomed to chanting and hearing the glorious activities of Krishna, and they never aspired to be elevated to the heavenly planets, which are extremely dear even to the demigods, right? They had a kind of a clearer head than the demigods about what life is really all about and what the goal is. And then it says, those who are saturated with the transcendental happiness of rendering service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who are saturated in bhakti, happiness through bhakti, they are uninterested even in the achievements of the great mystics, for such achievements do not enhance the transcendental bliss felt by a devotee who always thinks of Krishna within the core of the heart. So that feeling of love for God in the heart, it transcends any material opulence. It transcends even, the mysticism of the most powerful mystics. And we're going to see how it's more powerful than the mystic in this narration here. So it goes on to say that Ambarish himself was so deep into this that he was able to live this austere life but feel very enriched within. And he gave up all material desires. And then it gives a list of the types of things that people are attached to that he had no attachment to. And it doesn't mean that he didn't care for them or wasn't responsible, but he didn't see it as his or as the source of his happiness. And he said wives, children, friends, relatives, and then the kind of this is kind of like nowadays we would say, like cars and trucks, but he had like powerful elephants, right? Powerful elephants, chariots, carts, horses, jewels, ornaments, garments, treasury, inexhaustible treasury. He gave up attachment to all of them, regarding them as temporary material. And then that brought us to text 28, where did we read text 20? I don't know if we read this, but why don't we start with text 28 today?
Okay. Being very pleased by the unalloyed devotion of Maharaja Ambarish, the Supreme Personality of Godhead gave the king his disc, which is fearful to the enemies, and which always protects the devotee from enemies and adversities.
Amazing, right? Like, I don't even know what that means. Like, I picture the Sudarshan disc as being like this glowing, fiery thing that's floating in the air, And I always thought, Vishnu just holds on to that to himself. But he said, here, you have this. It's like pretty amazing. It's like, okay, I don't need an army anymore. I don't. And the commentators on this, right? One might ask if he was living this life where he's the powerful king, which means like he's the, again, when you're thinking of of this kind of king, you're thinking of like one of these Viking movies, or just like this savage guy that on a horse that's ready to lead the army. And we're hearing that he's in the temple all day. He's like he's offering flowers and fragrant oils
It's the
in his
soft side
temple.
of Maharaja Ambarish.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe he could use the soft hat, right? And so someone might ask, well, how is this man going to defend his nation? How is he going to defeat his enemies if there's aggressors out there? Well, here's the answer. The Lord was so touched by his devotion, he said, "Here's my disc. You're good now." All right.
So to worship Lord Krishna, Maharaja Ambarish, along with his queen, who was equally qualified, observed the vow of Ekadashi and Dwadashi for 1 year.
All right.
Uh-huh.
So there they were, kind of mapping out their spiritual strategy, right? Okay, on these, we were talking about this the other day on the Q&A, right?
Mhm.
We're going to take advantage of these special astrological days that come up every 2 weeks, and we're going to really focus on those days. His wife's doing it right there alongside him.
In the month of Kartik, and that's October, November-ish, changes every year because of the lunar calendar. In the month of Kartik, after observing that vow for 1 year, after observing a fast for 3 nights, and after bathing in the Yamuna, Maharaja Ambarish worshipped the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, in Madhuban.
So this is nice. You ever do something like this, Raghunath, where you do some special austerity or some special vrata, some certain vow, and then as you come to the conclusion of it, it feels really nice,
Yeah. Yeah.
Or sometimes we fast on Krishna's birthday, Janmashtami, and then it's like midnight and it's the moment of his birth, and that's when you break the fast. And everybody's feeling good. Like everybody's kind of like buzzing on the spiritual energy.
It's interesting also that this was all sort of before the chronological appearance of Lord Krishna as well.
Yeah.
He's at the Yamuna, right?
Yeah.
It's during Kartik. He's doing this. So all these auspicious things were happening even before Krishna appeared.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. 31, 32. Following the regular principles of the Mahabhishek, Maharaj Ambarish, Mahabhishek, Maharaj Ambarish performed the bathing ceremony for the deity of Lord Krishna with all the paraphernalia. And then, he dressed the deity with fine clothing, ornaments, fragrant flower garlands, and other paraphernalia for worship of the Lord. With attention and devotion, he worshipped Lord Krishna and all the greatly fortunate Brahmins who were free from material desires. Okay.
Nice.
Thereafter, Maharaj Ambarish satisfied all guests who arrived at his house, especially the Brahmanas. He gave in charity 60 crores of cows whose horns were covered with gold plates and whose hooves were covered with silver plates. It's a nice cow. All the cows were well decorated with garments and had full milk bags. They were mild, natured, young, and beautiful, and were accompanied by their calves. After giving these cows, the king first sumptuously fed all the Brahmins, and then they were fully satisfied. He was about to observe the end of Ekadasi with their permission by breaking. Exactly at that time, however, Durvasa Muni, the great and powerful mystic, appeared on the scene as an uninvited guest. So here it is, all these sort of rituals of fasting and giving and charity. And now he's about to break that fast, but wait. And
Yeah, it's definitely a setup, right?
Yeah.
Here. But the picture that's being painted is also just how thoughtful Ambarish was, just how thorough he was in pleasing everyone, just how selfless he was, and entirely like there to serve ideal state of consciousness. You know who's here is Tara. Come on in. Tara G. Come in.
Tara.
Let me get Tara one second.
Okay. Does that mean I'm supposed to read? Okay. Okay, we lost Kaustubha out in the hallway. All right. Do you want me to continue reading, sir?
I thought you would. Yeah, it was Tara.
Oh, okay. All right.
So-
After standing up to receive Durvasa Muni, King Ambarish offered him a seat in paraphernalia of worship. Then, sitting at his feet, the king requested the great sage to eat. Durvasa Muni gladly accepted the request of Maharaja Ambarish, but to perform the regular ritualistic ceremonies, he went to the river Yamuna. There he dipped into the water of the auspicious Yamuna and meditated upon the impersonal Brahman. In the meantime,
it's funny how everybody's talking about the Kumbh Mela, and they always say like they took the holy dip. They always say dip.
that's the Indian thing, right? They did a holy dip. Did you take your holy dip?
Yeah. So Ambarish, when I read this, Raghunath,
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm reading into it, but the fact that it said that, we have a picture of Ambarish, where's his meditation at? He's meditating on Krishna the whole time. Right.
Krishna serving the devotees,
Yeah.
pleasing
Yeah,
Krishna, pleasing the devotees.
But it's Bhagavan, it's the personal feature of God that he's focused on in his meditation. And he's got this very soft heart. Then we have Durvasa, who we're going to see can be very hard-hearted. And he's meditating on the impersonal Brahman. Like that's his focus.
Interesting.
Yeah,
perspective.
I'm not saying that the result of meditating on the impersonal Brahman is to have a hard heart, but maybe there's something being implied that that's going to, if you are hard-hearted, that's going to be more suitable for you, more attractive to you than the personal form.
A big part of our Bhakti theology is that God is actually in everybody's heart, as you were saying earlier,
Yeah.
even your so-called enemies. And so
Yes.
there's a type of like sort of dignity that we carry with us for everybody.
Yeah.
So in the meantime, only a muhurta of the day is broken down into
Muhurtas.
into measurements, muhurta. In the meantime, only a muhurta of the Devadasi day was left on which to break the fast.
Okay.
Consequently, it was imperative that the fast be broken immediately. In this dangerous situation, the king consulted learned brahmanas.
So this happens occasionally, right? It's like competing dharmas. One dharma is to break this fast at the appropriate time. It's a way of demonstrating one's devotion, and there are astrological implications as well. And the other dharma competing with it is, I have a guest in my house. It wouldn't be right for me to eat before serving that guest. But the guest is here, but just stepped away for a bit. I'm ready to serve him, and then eat after him, but he's not here right now. I don't know when he's going to get back. The clock is ticking away. What's the right thing to do?
Sure. All right. Oh, best of the Kuru dynasty. I'm sorry.
The king.
Text 39 to 40. The king said, to transgress the laws of respectful behavior towards the brahmanas is certainly a great offense. On the other hand, if one does not observe the breaking of the fast within the time of Dwadasi, there is a flaw in one's observance of the vow. Therefore, O brahmanas, if you think that it will be auspicious and not irreligious, I shall break the fast by drinking water. Right? It's sort of breaking the fast and sort of not breaking the fast. It's pretty good. It was a pretty good way to look at it.
Yeah.
In this way, after consulting the brahmanas, the king reached this decision. For according to Brahminical opinion, drinking water may be accepted as eating and also as not eating. Very, that was a very good choice, I think.
Very good choice.
Very good choice.
But is Durvasa going to appreciate it? Let's find out.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Oh, best of the Kuru dynasty, after he drank some water, King Ambarish, meditating upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead within his heart, waited for the return of the great mystic Durvasa Muni. Interesting, because as far as like his own personal desires, let's face it, you've been fasting for a few days. You want to eat something. Now's the time to eat something, and still you're choosing, well, I'll just sip water. It's definitely not doing it for his own personal gain. After executing,
one was sipping.
Yeah. After executing the ritualistic ceremonies to be performed at noon, Durvasa returned from the bank of the Yamuna. The king received him well, offering him all respects, but Durvasa Muni, by his mystic power, could understand that King Ambarish had drunk water without his permission.
Okay, is that really so bad? Is it?
I'm not allowed to drink water without your blessing. Well, because he was a
You
guest,
see,
I guess.
you know, it's like I can get it. Like, let's say I invited you over for dinner, and then when you arrived, I was like in the middle of eating. It would be like a slight, you know. It would be
Yeah.
it wouldn't be nice, you know. We all get that. But if I had a sip of water, you know, you're gonna
Right.
freak out over
Oh,
that.
you're gonna go drink all your water right in front of me while I'm starving here. I
Yeah.
get it.
So why was Durvasa so upset? You know, what was the flaw in him? This had nothing to do with with Ambarish. This had something to do,
Or he wanted to educate Ambarish, perhaps.
well, but
And
educate him by well, you're going to see how far he takes it. You
still
know,
hungry, Durvas Muni, his body trembling, his face curved, and his eyebrows crooked in a frown,
oh,
angrily spoke as follows to King Ambarish, who stood before him with folded hands. Alas, just see the
mm.
behavior of this cruel man. He is
Oh,
not a
by the way,
devotee of
Raghunath,
Lord
now that
Vishnu.
you're getting in, now that you're getting into your dramatic voice,
Yeah,
I don't know if we ever gave you props for your dramatic role that you played back at the Eco Village there.
I think I got props for that,
He's
didn't
on the show. You
Huh?
did
I?
great.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Did we talk about it on the show?
I don't know.
We
Did
did.
I
Who
don't
did
I
I?
don't remember talking about
Who
that,
did I
but
play again?
Shankachuda?
Oh, Shankachuda.
Yeah.
Shakachuda, yeah. You had the whole outfit. It was
It was
really
great.
something. It was great.
Thank you.
You
Thank
came
you.
running down that hill.
Gonna do it again next year. I'm looking forward to it.
Nice.
I always play a good sinister mind.
Do you? You played other sinister roles?
I think that's my you know, you get
What
cast
they
for
call it?
certain
Cast.
things.
What do they call that again? Typecast?
Typecast. I'm a typecast evil doer.
Okay. Well, you did it well, I'll say that.
Thank you. It wasn't hard for me to
Okay.
act as
Let's hear
evil.
you do it. Let's hear you do it again.
Alas, just see the behavior of this cruel man. He is not a devotee of Lord Vishnu. Being proud of his material opulence and his position, he considers himself to be God. Just see how he has transgressed the laws of
Hey,
Dharma.
you know what this reminds me of, Raghunath?
What?
It's just like we have to ask ourselves a question. Who am I in Krishna Lila? Who am I in the Bhagavatam? Who am I in Chaitanya's Lila? In other words, we
These
read these
archetypes, you
stories.
mean, that keep on
Yeah,
appearing?
yeah. Who am I in the Mahabharata, right? Because we never consider ourselves to be the villain in the text, right? But I think a lot of us are, you know, in the sense that here he is, and he's criticizing a devotee for not being a devotee. He's not a devotee. Now, just step back for a second. Open up your social media, you know, and you can find practicing Vaishnavas who speak just like this, right?
Mhm.
And not only do they speak just like this, but they kind of obsess speaking just like this. Like they're speaking like this a lot. Even they're talking about people who fully dedicated their lives. They're not a devotee. Look at they did this. Look at they did that. You know, you're the Durvasa Muni. You know, like the current one. You
Character.
know, you're the Ramachandra Puri. You're the one in the story that's accusing people that are pure of being impure. You're the one in the story that's going to, unfortunately, you know, suffer the consequences of that. You know, we really have to think, you know, what kind of words are coming out of my mouth, and who do they, and took, if we just took those words, interesting. I don't want to get into politics, right? But like, I saw this kind of thing where people were taking like this meeting that that Trump and Zelensky just had, you know,
Yeah.
and you just feed it into AI and say like, what's going on here, you know, and it's saying, and it's analyzing it, you know, like what kind of gaslighting is going on, or, you know, what kind of textbook kind of back and forth is going on. And it would be interesting if like, you know, like take the words that come out of my mouth, you know, over the course of a week, feed them into AI and determine what character am I, you know,
What archetype am I?
yeah, what archetype am I
Out of all the
in the
great
holy,
archetypes of, Western literature or something.
yeah, and let's say in Eastern, like in these texts like Mahabharata or Ramayana or Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, you know, Am I, the saintly character? Am I Lord Vishnu himself? Like my words, who do they align with? And if I'm saying stuff like, he's not a devotee at all, look at him, just see how he's irreligious.
Right.
If that's the kind of stuff that's always coming out of my mind, AI is just going to say, oh, you're the Durvasa Muni, you're the
Right.
you're the Ramachandra Puri. That's you. And if you say that to the person, they'll be like, not me, because it's justified in my case. Yeah, well, Durvasa thought that too.
Yeah. Right. That is funny. That is a good way. What is the constant vibration coming out of your mouth?
Yeah. Right.
All right. So Maharaja Ambarish. Okay, here I'm still in character here. Maharaja Ambarish, you have invited me to eat as your guest, but instead of feeding me, you yourself have eaten first. Because of your misbehavior, I shall now show you something to punish you.
Excuse me. Whoa.
By the way, they put my picture on the board. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, it's Shankachuta.
As Durvasa Muni said this, his face became red with anger. Uprooting a bunch of hair from his head, he created a demon resembling the blazing fire of devastation to punish.
How do you do that?
You pull out hair, and it's a mystic thing. You can pull demons from pieces of your hair.
All right.
Resembling the blazing fire of devastation to punish Maharaja Ambarish. Trivia question for Mara. Who else pulled out a being from a piece of their hair?
Shiva?
Yes.
Yes.
Good job. Can't fool Mara anymore. That's the new one. Write that down. Can't fool Mara anymore. We used to fool her. Used to stump her. Taking a trident in his hand and making the surface of the earth tremble with his footsteps. That blazing creature came before Maharaja Ambarish, but the king, upon seeing him, was not at all disturbed and did not move even slightly from his position. See, this is the power of pure devotional service. It relieves the fire of anxiety. It diminishes fear. One becomes actually fearless, and not fearless in the sense like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to be courageous. It's a deep understanding that you cannot be hurt. There's nothing external that can harm you. The best you could do is kill my body. Big deal. I'm connected to Lord Vishnu. It's such a benefit of a spiritual practice is anxiety diminishes.
Yeah, it's something I've been meditating on a lot lately, Raghunath, is this idea that when you have bhakti and when you have devotion for Bhagavan, for the personal form of God, then, so like if you have Bhagavan realization, if you realize that there's a divine individual person behind everything, then you realize Paramatma and you also realize Brahman. And I think it's lack of Brahman realization. When people pose as religious or spiritual and they have no Brahman realization, it turns people off. It's seen as hypocrisy. A person that is spiritual, Brahman realization, if they don't have it, it's something they should be cultivating seriously. Meaning, as you're saying, I'm eternal, right? Therefore, I'm not vulnerable. Therefore, external things should not rock me. I shouldn't be, just like we're seeing Durvasa Muni, okay, everybody's respecting him. Oh, you're this powerful sage, you're this great sage. But we see how upset he became over nothing, right? And anger took him over. It was saying he was meditating on Brahman, but it doesn't seem like he realized fully Brahman. Somehow he's got a lot of power. But why is he becoming so upset? In this case, when there was nothing to be upset about. And why do people that are apparently deeply spiritual become feel so vulnerable that they behave in ways that we would expect materialistic people to behave? As you're saying, someone that's deeply spiritual, it's like, you can't hurt me. So like Maharaja Ambarish, he's a devotee of Bhagavan. It's the personal form of God that he's focused on. But within that realization, he's got Brahman realization. Even he's being threatened by some terrifying, blazing creature. He's not in the least bit disturbed. It says he was not at all disturbed and did not move even slightly from his position.
It's an attractive quality, isn't it?
It's very powerful. You know, it is a
fearless.
you know,
Completely
there's
fearless.
this. I remember, like, from sports. There's and this clip still goes around, you know, but like there was an instance where like Kobe Bryant, you know, like was really getting into it with one guy like the whole game, you know, just
Yeah.
like they were taunting each other and they were kind of constantly like fouling each other, or you know, just pushing it to the limit. And at one point, I think they both kind of hit the ground, and then they got up, and the other guy was throwing the ball in, and Kobe Bryant was like just standing right in his face, you know. And then the guy took the ball and just like he shoved it in his face. He made it look like he was going to throw it right in his face. And someone does that to you real fast, the tendency is you flinch, you know.
Yeah.
And Kobe Bryant didn't even flinch, you know, like not a bit. And as
Are
you're
you
saying, like
saying Kobe
everyone's like,
Bryant's self-realized?
Brahman realized his. I
Brahman.
think Kobe Bryant maybe self-realized. He's realized at least the Sat feature of Sat Chit Ananda, in that he
You know what?
couldn't be harmed.
I do I would like to examine, is this different than just being courageous? Because you hear about these, you know, Vedic warriors, Shiv Chhatrapati,
Yeah.
you know, and these people, they're just like, you know, or just any warrior, who just like, yep, okay, you know, imagine like you have a secret, and they say, okay, we know you have the secret. Now we're going to torture you unless you tell us the secret. Like, would you tell the secret? And it's one of those things like, well, of course I wouldn't tell the secret, but you only know because some of these torturers are expert at torturing. And
How do you know
it's one
so
of
much
these
about
things.
expert torturers? You were talking about this the other day, Raghunath. How do you know so much about expert torturers?
My point is courage different than actually being
Well,
fearless?
well, you know, there's Brahman, there's knowledge of Brahman, and then there's Brahman realization. And we might act on the realization, or we might act on the knowledge, right? It may
Yeah.
be knowledge or maybe realized. So, like, I think a lot of warriors, so many of them are not afraid to die in battle because they have religious faith, right?
I think so too.
I'm
But is
willing.
that a spiritual thing? Like, I think if
Well,
you
but
like,
you just skipped right over my point. Was it may be on different levels. It may be on it may just be on that they bought into that message, and that was enough for them to behave courageously, or it may be that they've actually realized it, that they're actually beyond. You know.
it's interesting, isn't it? I got a feeling if you were about to torture me with whatever, tied me up and had a hedge clipper and we're about to cut off my, you know, fingers, and you're like, tell me the info, Raghunath. I'd be like, okay, here's the info. I've got it all for you. How would you like? I don't think I could take torture, but
Yeah.
there is hope that I can become God realized one day and be like, you know what? Do whatever you want. I'm okay. You can't hurt me. I would like to be there. I'm not there now.
Okay,
But
let's
I
work on.
know
Let's torture him a little bit today, just to get it started, and then we'll take it step by step.
on
Every
my
day, a little
foot
bit more
and see
torture.
what I do. And they slowly increase the heat.
All right, I think
All
we're
right.
out of time.
Ready for some takeaways?
Please.
Okay.
Okay. Focus on the things you can control.
Yep.
Yep.
Our character and strength grows from letting things go.
Mm-hmm.
The most important thing we can control is our mind.
Control that mind.
Control it.
Under our warped minds, we are pure spirit souls by nature.
Warped tour. The warped tour.
Warped.
I'm on the eternal warped tour.
Free your mind of trouble by letting the insignificant stuff go.
Let it go.
Deep spiritual life calls for compassion and forgiveness.
Okay.
Meditation on sweet baby Krishna softens your heart.
Oh, yeah.
Sure does.
What villain am I in the Bhagavatam?
Or saint.
Bhakti relieves fear and anxiety. And
Okay.
Before you do the do I have an interview today? Because I really want to do Sweet Baby Krishna, but I
have an interview.
I have an interview. Okay,
Yeah.
forget it. I
Yeah,
got a
get back in
Sweet Baby Krishna urge,
Yeah.
Nice, Raghu. Love it.
but I can't do it tonight.
And Kobe Bryant may be self-realized.
He might be. He might be.
Think so?
Well, he passed
I
away.
cannot-
He might have been.
Oh, he died?
Yeah.
What?
Plane
Raghunath.
crash, I think.
I tell you, I'm not connected to this material world, not in a spiritual way, just in
Not in
a
a
spiritual
spiritual
way. Yeah, I wish it was a spiritual way. Like, Raghunath are so deeply absorbed in sweet baby Krishna. I'm just... No things. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Woo! What's going on? We're having Wisdom of the Sages retreat at the farm. Want to see everybody here on Zoom at the farm. Welcoming in spring/summer. Reach out to Miss Mara, wisdomofthesages108@gmail.com. And woo!